Bruh, bruh, bruh. Well, hey there, everybody. It is Steam Winter Sale 2024, and this is the under $3 category, as suggested by one of you. As it turns out, it's a better breakdown of where the games go, but this is going to be the longest of all the videos. It has the most games, so let's not dilly or dally. Let's get around to it. Here we go. Under $3. First up, we have 100% Orange Juice, the strangest little board game you will ever fall in love with. It really is a silly, silly game. Yeah, you play as these chibi anime girls, and each one has their own different characteristics, which you won't really understand until you've played the game at least twice. An entire playthrough of this game can take like 10 minutes, and you can play with friends, you can play in person, you can play online. It's very easy and fun to get, and you can play with strangers as well, which is also super fun, and it's easy to get a match. It's a really good game. And so, yeah, there's a ton of DLC for it as well. If you want to get that, if you already have the game and you need the DLC, well, look at how much. It's just a stupid amount of DLC, which is all different characters. There's like a bajillion little anime girls that you can get. But yeah, this is 75% off at $1.74. And you can get a 4-pack for $3.74 to play with 4 of your friends. So yes, it's a very fun little game, and it's very enjoyable. 20XDX. 20XDX is a really cool Mega Man type game, except it's procedurally generated. It is roguelike, and how in the world did they figure out how to make Mega Man levels in a procedural generation? Well, yeah, they did it by generating the chunks, and the different chunks of levels integrate seamlessly into each other. You will see chunks that you're like, oh, I've done this one before, and so you can generally figure out how to make it through. Anyway, cool boss battles, cool game. It is very much like a Mega Man type game, except honestly probably the best Mega Man game in a long time. Well, since Mega Man 11, I believe. Anyway, 20XDX, 80% off at $2.99. And just out of curiosity, I wonder if the 30XDX, which I don't have yet, is $9.99. So yeah, there is a sequel as well. Anyway, Aces of the Luftwaffe Squadron is a beautiful bullet hell shooter. It is one of my very favorite bullet hell shooters, and it just looks great. I like this big, bold outline art style with the bright colors and the big, thick outlines on all of the planes. It's just a good-looking game, and I enjoy it quite a bit. It is one of my favorite vertical shooters on Steam, and not very many people talk about it. It's much better than it gets credit for being. And so if you enjoy vertical shooters, I can recommend this one to you wholeheartedly. It is 87% off at $1.94. The Adventure Pals. I recommend this game to everyone as often as I can because Adventure Pals is so darn cute. You're a kid who has this giraffe in a backpack who can do helicopter tongues and grapples and zip lines and all sorts of different nonsense. And you also have a rock, a pet rock who helps you do things. And the premise of the game, so funny, so stupid. All of the grown-ups are being, well, old people are being turned into hot dogs, and you have to save them from being turned into hot dogs. You know, that old trope. But yeah, it's a super fun game. It's exceptionally cute. It is 80% off at $2.99. Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX is an updated, a beautifully graphically updated version of the Alex Kidd that you knew and loved, or perhaps did not know or love at all because it was on the Sega Master System, which didn't do quite as well outside of Japan as it did inside of Japan. But this was one of the flagship titles of the Sega Master System, and it's nice to see it get an update. Oh, yes, and you can go back and play the original version as well. That is available to you if you want to get that old school vibe. But the new version looks stunning. It's really, really good. This is a piece of platforming history. It's 90% off at $1.99. Alien Breed Impact. Alien Breed is my all-time favorite isometric shooter series because I loves me isometric shooters. They're so good and so fun, and I love them, and I think that they are great. And these shooters are, it's a 3-game story arc. You can buy the first one, 89% off for $1.09, and that's hardly an investment at all. but 90% off for $229, you can get all three. And I'm telling you, the story carries across all three games, and you'll be glad that you got all three when you've played all three. Very, very cool games. I recently replayed Impact all the way through and loved it. Loved every minute of it. It was a great, great time. So yeah, $109 at 89% off. That's a smoking deal. Alien Shooter. This is a cult classic from back in the day. This game is 21 years old now. And I love that the top half of your body swivels and the bottom doesn't, so you can, reenact that scene from Spaceballs, or pretend that you're a G.I. Joe. That we all did that thing with G.I. Joes where you twist around the top half to where he's looking at his own butt. Anyway, don't act like I'm the weird one. We all did it. Come on. Anyway, this is a classic game, and not only that, it's a classic series of games. A cult classic, because not enough people played this back in the day, but the people who did were like, oh my god, this is twin sticky shooty shoot nonsense that just goes hard all the time. You are never not in danger of being completely overrun, so you just gotta move and shoot, and it is so much fun. And people who have played this game love this game, and it is 70% off at $149. But you can get the shooter pack that has all of the Alien Shooter games, and Alien Shooter 1 is really good. Alien Shooter 2 is almost as good. Alien Shooter Revisited is not good. And Zombie Shooter is apparently pretty good. I haven't played it yet. I do have all of these games, though. But $449, you get all of these cult classic shooters from back in the day. Annalynn never goes on sale. It never goes on sale. This is a classic single screen type arcade game, and you can see it doing some Donkey Kong Jr. stuff right there. And it also does a lot of things. It has a lot of influences from a lot of classic arcade games. And so the people who made this clearly know their arcade games. And it not only looks right, it sounds right. It feels like it came from the 1980s. It has that sort of a vibe. It's a really, really cool game. If you like arcade games, this is a really good one. It's 40% off at $299. Ape Out. Ape Out is wildly violent. It is. You got to be prepared for it to be wildly violent. It's like if Hotline Miami were about an ape escaping from a research facility, and you get to use your enemies' weapons, you get to use your enemies as weapons, chuck guys into guys, use guys' guns to shoot other guys, and then once you're done shooting guys, throw them at a different guy, and it's blood spattery craziness all over the place. And yeah, rip the door off the hinges, use it as a shield. It is very, very cool. But also very simple graphics. It reminds me of boxing on the Atari 2600, where you just had this top-down view of what your boxers looked like. And yeah, that's kind of how they designed this ape, only this one controls way better than boxing on the Atari 2600. Tight controls, great gameplay, very cool. It is 80% off at $299. Apotheon. Apotheon looks like a Grecian urn. It is classical Greek art, and it's a Metroidvania. And you just play as a figure from classical Greek art. And there's tons of mythology in this one. You're going to meet the gods. You are going to, incur their wrath a little bit, or their favor, as the case may be. It's a very, very cool game. And there's really nothing else like it. It just captures the essence so well. And it's a Metroidvania, so there's a ton of exploring. It's really well designed. Very fun game. It's 80% off at $299. Aqua Kitty Milk Mine Defender is essentially the classic arcade and everything else game Defender. Defender got ported to all the Ataris and Commodores and ZX Spectrums and all. If it was a platform that could play games back in the day, they had Defender. And Defender was an excellent game. Side-scrolling shooter. You had your radar up here telling you where the enemies are and where they are trying to steal your people, because that's what happens in Defender. Is the bad guys are trying to steal your people, and you got to go shoot them before they steal your people. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, this game just takes that classic formula and adds a ton of power-ups and really interesting things to it. Also, it's underwater rather than in space, so there's that as well. And it's kitties. We all love kitties. Everybody loves kitties. You love kitties. Anyway, 70% off at $209. Asterix and Obelix XXL. If you are European, you already know these games, and you already know Asterix and Obelix from the comic books and from the cartoon series, multiple cartoon series and feature-length cartoon movies. I was raised on the 12 Tasks of Asterix. Highly recommended. Hilarious movie. Very, very fun to this day. Anyway, but these games are, they're kind of 3D platformers that are also beat-em-up-y, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's got all the characters from the show that you know and love. And yeah, it's all that fun. And even if you don't know and love this this series, it's something you can get into pretty easily. It's not, you know, steeped in lore, although there is quite a bit of lore in this game. But there are the other games as well in the Asterix. Hold on. Asterix and Obelix XXL. Yeah. 2 is $1.99 and 3 is $1.99. And Slap Them All. I don't know that one. That one, oh, Slap Them All and Slap Them All 2. Haven't played. But the XXL games I have played, and they are very fun. And they're all $1.99 right now. So, very fun if you like that kind of game. Axiom Verge is, I've been talking about the games that came out around the same time as Hollow Knight. There were just some amazing Metroidvanias that came out. And this one was really in the running along with Hollow Knight. People were like, oh, this is for real a very seriously awesome Metroidvania. And, you know, in the end, Hollow Knight won out, but that doesn't mean that this game isn't worth playing. I mean, Hollow Knight is, it's a phenomenon, and we're all waiting for Silk Song. We can't wait. We want them to announce when it's going to come out so we can start making paper chains and all of that. But still, this game is excellent. It also has a sequel that is already out, but you should play this one, and you'll know what I mean. It's got a really, really cool premise and great, great pixel art. It's 85% off at $2.99. Oh, look at that. You get Axiom 1 and 2 for $6.73. That's a steal. That's a steal for sure. Bastion. Oh, I loves me some Bastion. This game is beautiful. You're playing as this kid who is fighting your way through a world that is literally falling apart around you. Oh, Supergiant Games, all of their games are on sale. I recommend any of them. Just any Supergiant game you can get your hands on it, and you will enjoy it. Anyway, the cool thing about Bastion is that there's a narrator who narrates not everything you do, but enough of what you do as you're doing it that it's a really cool gimmick to the game that kind of makes it feel like, oh, there's somebody watching me play this. You know, it's a really cool concept, and it makes it very, very fun, especially when the narrator gets snarky when you die in stupid ways. Anyway, it's 80% off at $2.99. BDSM, The Big Drunk Satanic Massacre. Now, as you can tell by the title, if you are a person who is easily offended, maybe not this one for you, but this is a hilarious and fun and reasonably difficult twin-stick shooter with a lot of interesting characters in it, crazy bosses like you wouldn't believe. And it's all hell-themed, so the humor is very, yeah, it gets pretty offensive, the humor in this game, which, if you are the sort of person who can enjoy some offensive humor, there you go. It's a good time. If that's not you, then it doesn't need to be you. It's fine. Not all the games are for all the people. Anyway, it's 89% off at $2.19. I love this game. It's very fun. The Binding of Isaac. Now, there are multiple different versions of this game, and there are, you know, various, yeah, I love that they don't have a video and that the pictures they have are so tiny. This is a twin-stick shooter where you play as a kid who can shoot people with his tears. And it's a crazy premise and a crazier game. It is an experience for sure. And it's a weird, odd, strange little world that's kind of off-putting a little bit. I mean, look at this guy. That tells you more than you need to know about what this game is all about. But it's very fun. It is an indie darling for sure. It is $1.54 at 69% off. You can also get it, with Wrath of the Lamb DLC Yeah, there you go. And there's other versions, the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, the Binding of Isaac Rebirth. There's other Bindings of Isaac, but this is the original. And if you've never played any of these games, 69% off, $1.54 is a pretty good deal. Borderlands Game of the Year Enhanced. I love Borderlands. This game, I played it the very beginning of this year, played all the way through it. I had played bits and pieces of it before, had never played it all the way through, and this year I was like, we're going to do it. We're going to do everything. I played all the DLC, which there's a ton of DLC that comes with this version, and it introduces you to pretty well a lot of the really cool characters from the Borderlands universe that you are going to want to know. And I love this sort of hand-drawn art style, the comic booky art style, and there are just guns upon guns upon guns, so many guns in this game. And it's a lot in this bundle. It is 90% off at $2.99. And yeah, 6 items in there. You get a bunch of extra guns and whatnot, and a bunch of DLC to go along with it. A really, really cool version of the game. And it's the one I played earlier this year and loved it. Okay, Braveland Pirate and Braveland Wizard. Braveland, the original base game, just invented a formula that you can do anything with. It's a very cute art style, and they invented this system for doing hex-based, turn-based RPGs that are simple, but fun and cute and interesting and good, and they level very well. They're very well-balanced games, and it takes a decent amount of strategy, and they're just well made. You know, they created an engine for this type of game, and then they've done everything they can with it. So there's Braveland, there's Braveland Pirate, there's Braveland Wizard, there's Spaceland. There's a bunch of different Braveland games. There's a Braveland, or Knights of Braveland. That's not turn-based. That's more Castle Crashers-y. I don't know how to feel about that. But these ones, the Braveland trilogy is just $5.99 at 80% off. Braveland Pirate is 80% off at $2.99, and you get all the joy of pirates. Braveland Wizard, which is, the wizard version of the same franchise. And so, yeah, take that same art style and same hex-based grid, turn-based strategy type of combat, which is very fun, easy to learn, and yet it requires constant strategizing. You can learn it, but you have to think your way through every battlefield that you step onto, and it just makes it very engaging and very fun. This one's 80% off at $1.99 for the Braveland Wizard. And don't think that I won't be recommending the regular Braveland, it's just that one is 99 cents now. So, yeah, these games went and got cheap, and they're very good. Broforce, oh my goodness. Now, I know better than to show you the actual video, because it's just going to show you cutscene stuff and not actually show you what the game looks like. This is a game in which this is Rambro, all of them have bro names, and this is Brave Bro? I don't know, it's Braveheart. Anyway, so you make your way through this completely destructible environment. You can break everything, and each of your bros has a different ability, and you're fighting terrorists led by the devil himself. And there's aliens and all kinds of stuff. And every time you unlock one of these guys, you get a new random bro. Yeah, the Rocket Bro, the Rocketeer. I'm telling you, every action movie that has ever been made is represented here in some way, shape, or form. Oh, that's the Chuck Norris movie that I'm blanking on. Anyway, but each of them has different weapons and different abilities, and so you have to play each character very differently from each other. And so there's constant variety. It's really cool to play in multiplayer, and so it is 80% off at $2.99. They used to sell a 4-pack for this, which they should again. But yeah, $2.99 for Broforce. It's so funny and so fun and so satisfying to just destroy the environment, because it's totally destructible. Call of Juarez Gunslinger. This is the best of the Call of Juarez's. And this one also, I like games with a good narrator. This one has a good narrator, which the fun thing about that is he constantly tells you where to go and what to do. So, like, there's a point in one of the early levels where you feel like, oh, there's more stuff to do, and then you think you can hang around, and he's like, I said it's time to turn tail and run, And so Yeah, the narrator really helps you out there. It's a really cool game, and if you enjoy Old West type of stuff, and dare I say, if you enjoy the Red Dead type of games, this is not quite the open world adventure that Red Dead games are, but it is a similar vibe in its construction. Being the Old West, it's a gritty Old West game. 80% off at $2.99. Also, you can get the Call of Juarez bundle. These other games, it's not like they're terrible. It's just this is the best of the three. Castle Crashers. Oh yes, Castle Crashers, the classic. This is a game that it just feels like everybody needs to play this game. So cute, so fun. It is just a perfect hack and slashy beat 'em up. And it just plays so well. Yeah, made by the same people who made Alien Hominid. Surprise. And there's a ton of like interesting content in here, just crazy references to all sorts of games, and the sense of humor is absurd and silly, and I love it. It's so great. Anyway, Castle Crashers 90% off at $1.49. Who wants this? Maybe I'll have to. I don't know who that is. I was gonna say maybe I need to send it to somebody, but I'm not entirely sure who all of my Steam friends are because they keep changing their names. Oh, Cave Story. Cave Story is basically the Undertale that we had before we had Undertale. This is a very story-rich role-playing game that was an indie darling when indie darlings were first becoming a thing. And I feel like it's kind of been forgotten about a little bit. But there's a whole world in this game and a lot of really cool characters. It's very, very well designed and very fun. And it's 80% off at $2.99. Yeah, I may have been responsible for all of them owning it. That might have been me. I might have done that. Circle Empires. Circle Empires is an RTS, but it's not your standard RTS that, only has one mode, and that's go hard or go home. This is one that you can adapt to what you want it to be. Because in an RTS, you start out with your little plot of land and you develop your little kingdom. Well, with this, they are all just interconnected circles. And when you start a new game, you just tell it like, I want to have to conquer this many circles in my playthrough this time. And you can just adapt it to how much time you have and indeed to how much interest you have in playing it. And so it can get very, very busy. It can turn into a very complicated RTS if you want it to, but it doesn't have to be. It can be pretty simple if you need it to be. And very oftentimes I'm not in the mood to just play hours and hours and hours of an RTS just to have my butt Zerg rushed in the end, and this one kind of takes that out of it. It's very simple to learn. It has all of the things that you would want an RTS to have. It's kind of stripped back to the barest essentials. But it's complicated enough and good enough. It's 80% off at $1.79, and I happen to like this one a lot. It scratches my RTS itch more than most games do. Cosmic Star Heroine. Cosmic Star Heroine is one of the best RPGs that I have ever played. I love this game unapologetically. I think it is fantastic. It's a great 16-bit RPG that does a lot of really cool things that I have not seen other 16-bit RPGs doing. It's got a great story. It's very engaging, very fun to play. This is by Zeboyd Games, who makes a lot of silly games, let's be honest. The Cthulhu Saves the World and Cthulhu Saves Christmas and whatnot, and Breath of Death 7, those kind of games that are kind of send-ups and parodies of classic RPGs. Well, they also made a absolute classic banger of an RPG in Cosmic Star Heroine. Love this game. It is 80% off at $2.99. Costume Quests. Costume Quests are a little past Halloween, and so maybe it's hard to recommend a Halloween game, but Costume Quest is very cute. Yeah, basically you play as little kids trick-or-treating, but there's aliens who are kidnapping little kids who are trick-or-treating. It's a whole silly story, but so you do a lot of wandering around the neighborhood and trick-or-treating and stuff, and then you're changing costumes all the time. And every costume that you have in your little kid imagination, this robot costume looks like this when you actually go into battle against the aliens who look like this. And so, yeah, it's really cute and really fun and really funny. And it's a really, really well-designed RPG that, yeah, all of the adults are kind of dumb and all the kids are kind of smart. It's one of those. It's 75% off at $249. You can get the 1 and 2 bundle, also 75% off at $499. I believe Costume Quest 2 is the same price if you buy it as a standalone. But yeah, really cool games. Crypt of the Necrodancer. I do not like rhythm games. I don't think keeping rhythm is fun, generally speaking, which is why I don't like most rhythm games. I say most. This one is a massive exception because they created a dungeon crawler where you have to move to the beat. And it just adds something to the classic dungeon crawler formula. And it's super fun and super interesting, and you get really good at it. Yeah, and you can play with your own music if you want to. So you can really know what the beat is. Anyway, it's a really cool game, 80% off at $299. Dex. Dex is a really cool game. It's been around for a while. It's about 9 years old, so it is getting a little long in the tooth, but it's a really cool cyberpunk. Yeah, I always think it's a Metroidvania, but it's not. It's just really well designed, and there's a bit of puzzling and figuring out how to get through levels. Yes, why not show actual gameplay videos? Yeah, here we go. That's actual gameplay. So it's very cyberpunky, and you do a lot of cool cyberpunk things in this world, and there's a lot of espionage and intrigue. It's got a cool story, and it's a really cool game, very well made, and I'm looking to show more gameplay footage. But yeah, really interesting world and just exceptionally well done. It's kind of been a few years since it came out, so the people who were excited about this game have kind of played it. And if you haven't played it yet, then it's your turn to get excited about it. It's 90% off at $1.99. Dishonored. Yeah, here's another example. Ooh, look at that boat. Yeah, that's how you sell this game. Anyway, this is an exceptional stealth game, and I don't really like stealth games a lot of times. I'm a brash, go full berserker mode and just kill everyone type of player when I play any type of game that involves shooting people and whatnot. And this one has a really, really cool story. You're getting framed for it, not because of this. I mean, there is also that. But yeah, it's this really cool retro futuristic world, and you get framed for killing the queen, pretty much. And so you have to sneak around because you are the most wanted man. And so you're trying to solve the crime and get your revenge while also not getting caught. And the way that the stealth works in this game, it just makes it more accessible for people who don't normally do stealth. 75% off at $249. I feel like I can't talk too much about any single game because that gets us behind, but there is more I want to say about every single one of them. Don't Starve is a family favorite. Everyone in my family loves this game. It's got really cool art style, very Edward Gorey type of art, which I love me some gory. Yeah, absolutely. The Ash Crumbly Tinies, anybody? Anyway, really, really cool and fun game where you're just trying to survive, and it's harder than you'd think. Anyway, 75% off at $249. Next up, we have Duke Nukem, the 20th Anniversary World Tour. This is the Duke Nukem that you played back in the day. The one I played back in the day was 2D. Yeah, that's right. I started out on the old Duke Nukem. I reviewed it recently. But this is the one that you remember with all of the not safe for work content and all of the, oh yeah, it's Duke Nukem, and he does kind of this voice, and he's like, hey, I'm the Duke Nukem, and I'm super good looking, and I get all the ladies. Anyway, very funny sense of humor, very awesome game, and it's all still here just like you remember it. 90% off at $1.99. Flatout 2. Flatout 2 is a solid racing game with a lot of demolition derby and stuff like that. But what makes this game really cool, and it doesn't show any footage of it at all. I mean, these are stills. It's not footage at all. but there are mini games, and it's the mini games that make this game worth owning, because basically you'll drive super fast and try to crash your car in such a way that you shoot your driver through the windshield, and you're going for distance, and you're going for, it's hard not to say speed, because she's all alone in her time of need. Anyway, regardless, you're racing, you're pacing, you're plotting a course, and also shooting your driver through the windshield and trying to rack up points in the most fun mini games that you will ever play in a racing game. It is 80% off at $1.99 and very, very fun. Freedom Finger. This game should have been huge. And the fact that it's not is absurd to me. This is a great side-scrolling shooter, and it stars Nolan North and John DiMaggio. Yeah, all of your favorite voice actors are in this, and the soundtrack is insane. And you play as a giant middle finger-shaped spaceship, and then you can punch and grab things, and then it's very bullet hellish, and it gets very frantic and crazy and wild. It's an insane game with an outlandish sense of humor. And like I said, Aesop Rock did the soundtrack, but it's also got, Red Fang, which is doom metal, Power Trip, which is like power metal, Comtruse, which is like synthwave, Ty Segall, who is the god of, garage type rock. Anyway, it with all the people who worked on this game, it should have been massive, and 114 people liked it. But they all liked it. Everybody likes it because it's great. It's a great game. It's 75% off at $1.99, and it's absurd that this game is not huge. Just absolutely absurd that it's not huge. FTL, Faster Than Light. This is a roguelike space shooter in which it's mostly about managing your crew and getting them to the right place, doing the right job at the right time while you are taking fire from an enemy ship. And you constantly have to be fixing your ship and aiming at the right parts of their ship. It's a lot to manage, but it's very fun. I know that it doesn't look incredibly great. Like, you look at it and you're like, but it's barely anything. Trust me, there is a ton to this game. Ton of upgrades, ton of different ways to get crew. You have to make some real morally questionable decisions, especially early on in the game. There's a lot to this one. There's a reason why it's overwhelmingly positively reviewed, and it's 75% off at $2.49. Gato Roboto. This is a monochrome Metroidvania in which, like, you're a dude who made a cool Metroid-style suit, but then your cat gets in it, and then pretty soon your cat becomes the hope for all life in the universe, pretty much. And so you get to Metroidvania your way around this world, but also there's like Blaster Master elements where you jump out of the suit, but when you're out of the suit, you're just a vulnerable little kitty. And so it's really, really well done. Fantastically well done. And I think the monochrome makes people think like, oh, how good could it be? It only has one color, But it's fantastic. It's a Devolver Digital game. They only put out quality. $1.19 at 85% off. Ghost 1.0. I love this game. It is super great because this is a Metroidvania that is also roguelike. It is a Roguevania. So you get better with each playthrough, and each playthrough is different. I mean, the plot is the same because you're kind of doing corporate espionage. You're this like high-tech thief, basically, who gets hired by a couple of nerds to do corporate espionage, and then you find out that there's these two guys. And you find out there's a lot more going on than you thought, and then you have to, show actual gameplay. You put your essence into these 3D printed robots. So all the save rooms are 3D printers where you just print up a new robot body. And so if you ever die, your essence goes back to the save room and you just print up a new body and away you go. So it's a really cool concept. It's very, very well designed. It is 80% off at $2.59. Love that Ghost. Giana Sisters Twisted Dreams. Oh my goodness. The Giana Sisters are fantastic. This is a beautiful, beautiful platformer that started out on the Commodore 64, the original Giana Sisters, and, all the lawsuits from Nintendo because they were blatantly ripping off the Mario Brothers, obviously, But then this one is its own thing, where it's a light world, dark world switcheroo, and it is a collectathon as well. If you're trying to get all of the gems, it becomes insanely hard. I have beaten this game. It was incredibly difficult, and no, I did not get all the gems, but it's a beautiful, beautiful game, incredibly well done, and it's 80% off at $2.99. Grand Mountain Adventure. I recently reviewed this one as well. This is a really, really well done skiing and snowboarding game where you hop on a ski lift and you just go and you do what you can do. And yes, there are multiple different levels, and each level has hidden things and areas that you have to ski well in other ones to unlock it. And there are all kinds of different challenges and races and slaloms and things and cool tricks that you can do. It's a very, very well done game, very fun, and it is 85% off at $2.99. Grim Dawn, here we go, another buckle hat game. This one is, yes, it is another Diablo clone with a buckle-hatted protagonist, but yeah, it is not exactly the same as Van Helsing. In this one, you're fighting all kinds of undead type creatures. And yeah, you definitely also 100% do that in Van Helsing. It's hard to even explain how these games are different because they just feel like they are cut from the same cloth. But they are each individually very cool and very fun in their own way. And so I always recommend them. This one's 90% off at $2.49 on that Grim Dawn. Grip Combat Racing. I still haven't reviewed this on the channel because I am terrible at it. This is a very fast-paced, very interesting and cool racing game in which you are racing all sorts of upside down and on the walls and stuff in a futuristic racing combat craziness. And so, yeah, you pick up all sorts of weapons and power-ups for your car, and you just go super fast, provided that you are good enough to make sure that you're not falling off the level as many times as I do. And then, yeah, if you can't catch up to the guy in front of you, shoot him. It's one of those. And so, very cool, very interesting and fun game. And it is 90% off at $2.99. Gris. Gris is one of those, it's an experience. It's a game to experience. It's kind of like Journey, if you remember Journey on the PS3. And yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful, artistically interesting game. And yeah, like I say, it is much more of an experience than it is like a, ooh, I killed all the bad guys and got all the achievements. Like, it's not one of those. It's more of a, look at this cool world. It's 80% off at $2.99. Up next, we have High Hell. Oh my goodness, what a cool game. This one, very stylistically interesting shooter. A lot of high contrast visuals in this one. And it's got a crazy sense of humor. It is, yeah, very much, I wouldn't say it's offensive necessarily, but there is like, the devil is selling cocaine and using monkeys with mind control to try and kill you and whatnot. So if that doesn't sound like the sort of thing that you would enjoy, well, then don't get it. But if it sounds like it's super awesome that you can kick down all the doors and go shoot coke dealing Satan, and then when you're done with the level, you just jump off the roof. It's super fun to just finish a level and be like, well, I'm done, and then jump off the roof and parachute to safety. It is like a really cool action movie, and it knows that about itself. Very self-aware game that is exceptionally fun. It's 80% off at $1.99. Hotline Miami. This is the original Mamma Jamma of ultra-violent top-down shooters. And yeah, do you like hurting people? Yeah, well, if you do, this game is all about hurting people. It's about moving fast and killing everyone constantly with whatever. Whatever you have, use that. Kill people. It's absurdly violent and very fun, assuming that you like absurdly violent games. Anyway, it is 80% off at $1.99, and you can get it with Hotline Miami 2 for $4.29. And yeah, I do have the Hotline Miami 2 on here as well, because it is like the first game, only more so. yeah, more violent, more crazy weapons, more insane characters and levels and weird stuff going on, and just the violence level gets ramped up to an absurd degree. And yeah, it is a vibe. It knows what it is. It presents itself as exactly what it intends to be, and it just goes so hard from beginning to end. So yeah, if you like the ultra-violence Hotline Miami 2 as well, 85% off, $224. The special edition is $299, also 80% off, 85% off, and there's the bundle. So all there for you. Iron Crypticle. Oh yes, I loves me the Iron Fisticle and the Iron Crypticle. The Iron Crypticle, the improvement in this game is that you can play 4-player multiplayer at the same time. This is a crazy twin sticky type arena shooter in which you play as a knight, and it's kind of like a medieval Robotron, essentially, because everything is coming at you and trying to kill you the entire time, and then you go from room to room, and every room has a different theme, and you won't really know what it is until you get there. And sometimes there are shops where you get to rest a little and build up your guy, and other times it's just bosses and craziness. So yeah, it's a very, very fun and cool game. I like this one and its predecessor, and this one, like I say, it's got the 4-player cooperative play. 70% off at $299 is the Iron Crypticle. Islanders is one of my wife's favorite games because this is an extremely casual puzzle type game in which you are building up little civilizations on islands, and certain things go better next to other things, and you try to optimize your points by putting things next to the things that give you the most points, and then making enough points to jump to a new island and start the process all over again and rack up insanely high scores with global leaderboards so that you can know just how good at puzzling you are compared to other people in the world. This is a wildly beloved puzzler, and it is exceptionally casual. So if you enjoy this kind of thing, 75% off at $124, and it's very much beloved. Even, yeah, in my household, not my type of game, but my wife loves it. Anyway, Jets and Guns Gold. Yes, don't step on the rake, because then, yeah, Rake and Grass presents Jets and Guns. This is an excellent side-scrolling shooter. Very, very cool. Ton of like bullet hellish visuals going on. And it's a pretty decent challenge, not gonna lie. It's very, very crazy. There's a ton of really cool power-ups. It's just a really, really solid shooter, and I'm not fantastic at side-scrolling shooters. Yes, there is a difference. Vertical and side-scrolling shooters are very different animals, or so say the people who really care about such things. I'm better at vertical shooters, but there's some side-scrolling shooters that are so good that you just have to be like, you know what, I'm getting this one, and that's what I did. It's 65% off at $279. Yeah, there's a Jets and Guns 2, which I might be purchasing soon. So, Just Cause 2. Yeah, the Just Cause games. These games are all about doing the stupid, crazy stunts that you see in action movies. Yeah, anything that you've ever seen in an action movie where you're like, that's not physically possible. Well, it's physically possible in this game, and this game wants you to do it. It wants you to do crazy stunts, jump from moving cars, and, shoot your grappling hook and parachute from crazy things, and jump out of an airplane and grab onto its tail. Just insane stunts from top to bottom, and it plays like a Grand Theft Auto type game. So if you play the story mode, it's very GTA-ish, except for, overthrowing the governments of South American countries, like we do in the United States. And yeah, it's really cool. There's a ton of DLC for it, but you can get the base game 90% off at $149, and it's exceptionally cool. And Just Cause 3 is the height. I have heard that Just Cause 4, which I did not recommend, there are people who were disappointed with it. But yeah, look at this. Look at what he do. Yeah, wingsuit and stuff. I'm telling you, every dumb action movie stunt that you have ever seen and said, you could never do that. Well, you can do it in this game. You can do it in this game. And that's what makes it cool. And so, yeah, cool guys don't look at explosions. Anyway, it's 85% off at $299. Ton of DLC for this one as well. That's a little more reasonable than the DLC that you get for the Just Cause 2. Anyway, Knights of Pen and Paper 1 Plus Edition. This game is really funny because it's basically you and a bunch of friends are playing D&D, but everything that happens in the game happens behind you. So you're sitting at a table and just, being a bunch of guys at a table, but then the game really actually plays out behind you. And then, all of the stuff from real life gets gamified as well. It's a really cool concept and incredibly well executed. It is 75% off at $249. Ooh, you can get the Deluxe-ier edition. I'm not sure what comes in that, but there's a Knights of Pen and Paper 2. You can get both of them for $448 and 55% off. Get the first one, see if you like. This one, here you go, Dan, giving you a shout out. Dan, who is a viewer of this channel, made this game and gave me a copy to review, and I loved it. This La Sombra is a stealth game with a Saul Bass art style, and it is super cool. Yeah, and so you are just stealthing your way through everything, and it reminds me of that game Roomba, where you play as the Roomba who is defending your space. It's kind of like that, but it more stylized and more interesting, and more ways to do stealth things and take out guys in ways that are interesting and fun. Yeah, really, really well designed. And Dan did a great job on it. He's a viewer of the channel, so I'm definitely recommending his game. It's 70% off at $149. Very well made. Good job, Dan. Anyway, Luftrausers. This is an old school, this is an early Devolver Digital game. This is one of the earliest Devolver Digital games I remember seeing. I played this on the PS Vita. I could say that about a lot of indie games that are cool from back in the day. And this one is just a fantastic World War II themed shooter with intentionally lo-fi graphics, but it plays like a dream. The controls are tight, and it is wildly fun to play. So, yeah, the physics of this game take a minute to get used to, but once you've got it, and you just let her rip and go. 80% off at $1.99. Magic Cat. Magic Cat is a cute and cool platformer that is more difficult than you would think based on how cute the protagonist is. There are a lot of nods to some classic platformers in here, but this one goes really, really hard. And when I say really hard, I mean both, yes, it's awesome and fun in that it goes hard, but it also goes hard. It's difficult. It's not for the faint of heart. Especially those later levels. I have not beaten this one, just so you know. I have played it, but I haven't beaten it. Anyway, it is 50% off at $249. Metal Unit. Oh, here we go. This one is an action platformer that feels like it should be a Metroidvania. It's not. Yeah, there's a fair bit of fan service. The girl grabs her boob every time you pause the screen. It's a whole thing. But most of the game does not involve the fan service. Most of the game looks and plays like this, and that is really cool and really fun, and it's got a decent-ish story, and but the pixel art is really good, and it controls really well, it plays really well, it's really well designed, and the fan art is, if you like it, or the fan service, sorry, not fan art. I'm sure there's fan art for it as well, but be careful. You go Googling fan art for this game, don't say you haven't been warned. Anyway, 80% off at $299 is the Metal Unit. Really fun game. Neurovoider. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this one is a twin sticky shooter that is it is pretty darn difficult, not gonna lie, but it's very interesting and fun. It's kind of an uprising of the machines kind of a deal, and yeah, you are just trying to stay alive on your way through, and the customizability as you go through, the ways that you can build up your robot are different every time. And so, yeah, it's roguelike-ish. I always forget to mention that. It is roguelike-ish. And so that's why it's different every time. And every time you start building up your little robot, he's going to be different from the last time you built him. 90% off, $1.39. Neurovoider is really cool and really fun. Ollie Ollie. Ollie Ollie is a skateboarding game that is not like all the other skateboarding games out there, in that it is long runs. You just get on your board and go. It is made to be played in just lengthy segments. You go throughout this world and you just grind and kickflip and ollie and then ollie again. And hopefully don't crash down the stairs, but until you get the timing and the feel of the tricks, 120 real tricks. Yeah, all of the tricks that you do in this game are actually real tricks that actual skateboarders can do, and the level design is really cool, and you're going to find yourself grinding on all kinds of really cool nonsense. Very fun game. It is 80% off at $259. Psychonauts. Ooh, I just saw the time and realized we gotta hit the afterburners on this. Psychonauts. This is one of my friends' his favorite game of all time. In this game, you are going inside people's brains and doing stuff. It's kind of hard to describe what exactly this game is, but it is cool and interesting and strange. It's a strange little monkey, but it is exceptionally fun, and it's from that Xbox era when, games were starting to do things that games had never done before. Anyway, 75% off at $249 is the Psychonauts. Reventure. This is one of the very first roguelikes I ever played. Yeah, there are 100 different endings. Yes, indeed. I don't know that it's 100% positive reviews anymore, but Reventure is a cool little roguelike with super simple graphics, and every time you play it, it's different, and it's so easy to die at first and then die at second and again and again and again, but you get better at it over time. And as you make it through, you will get an ending that you deserve in time. Anyway, it's a really, really cool roguelike, super simple graphics that are also very compelling, and it's tight controls. When you die in this game, you know it's your fault anyway, and not the fault of the game itself. 77% off at $183. Rogue Legacy. Here's another cool roguelike, and this one has a gimmick that is fantastic. Yeah, you see all these different things. Yes, all heroes are not born equal. So every time you play this game, your new character is the son of, it is the child of the character that you just died as. And every new character has different character buffs, and it also has different character flaws. And so you have to overcome your flaws and use your buffs in order to make your way through this procedurally generated world. It's such a cool idea and so well executed here. You never know if your character is going to be colorblind, or if your character is going to be, I don't know, kind of stupid and has a hard time finding their way through the world. It's all kinds of different things, and every playthrough is different, and every character build is unique. It's 80% off at $299. Roof Rage. My son was just saying that he was excited for me to talk about this game. This is, more than any other game that we have played together, he and I, this one we probably put the most time in, because this is a classic 2D fighting game. You will see it and think immediately, oh, Smash Bros. Or Brawlhalla. And yes, it is similar to those games, but it's not burdened with troublesome microtransactions. No. And it's just, you get the characters you get. They all have unique weapons and movesets and skills, and the buttons for doing all of the moves are the same, just the special moves are different. And so even if you're playing a character you've never played before, you will at least know how to do their special and stuff. So it's not one of those impossible, Mortal Kombat, where if you haven't memorized every button combo, you're never going to get it. It's not one of those. It is very accessible, very easy to understand, very easy to play, but it's a decent challenge and very fun to play against another person. You can play it online multiplayer. And so, I've given this game, these people have this game because I gave it to them, because I want people to have this game. It's 80% off at $299, and it's a very, very fun game. Sid Meier's Civilization 6. It is the classic Civilization franchise. It's a Sid Meier game. You know the Sid Meier's games go hard, and so do you want to build up your civilization over time? Start out at the humblest of beginnings, a guy with a quill and a beard and a tunic, and then eventually you are, show me gameplay. It drives me crazy when games are like, I'm going to sell you on this game based on cutscenes. Like, no, show me footage, always. Yeah, that's what the old Civilization games look like, and then it takes you to the new Civilization. Oh man, my internet is really struggling right now. It's because I'm recording this as I'm uploading other video. So yeah, I'm really pushing the limits on this poor computer and on my poor internet connection. Yeah, it's showing you we used to look like this and now we look like communism. Yes, that's right. Build an empire over generations is the civilization way. And yeah, 95% off at $2.99 is a great deal. And so if you like those kind of games, get it. Absolutely get it. Spelunky. What do I need to tell you about Spelunky that you don't already know? This is just one of the most beloved action-adventure roguelikes out there. And it's, yeah, dungeon crawly, explore this vast, interesting world, and do it as quickly and as well as you can. And, yeah, get from place to place without dying or die trying. Pretty much, that's the deal. Anyway, Spelunky is cute, it's fun, it's awesome, and you already love it. I don't know if you knew that, but you do. It's 80% off at $2.99. We're getting silly toward the end. Splasher. My kids love this game. This is a really, really cool game in which you have this paint gun, and it shoots a couple of different kinds of paint. There is the red sticky paint, the yellow bouncy paint, and you can also shoot water, which will wash the paint off. And so you use those different mechanics, sticking to walls, you can even run on the ceilings and whatnot, and then bouncing off of things, and then also removing the paint so that you don't stick and don't bounce when you don't want to stick and bounce. And the level design is excellent, and it's really a decent challenge in this game. There's just constantly stuff going on, and you have to figure out, like, wait a minute, how do I get way up there? And yeah, there are rewards for the better that you do. It gets speedrun, it's speedrunner friendly, 90% off at $1.49. And even if you're not a speedrunner, you can enjoy that game. Steamworld Dig 2 is like Steamworld Dig, but even more so. I don't know why that's funny to me. It shouldn't be, but it is. But Steamworld brought in, the original Steamworld Dig brought in the Steamworld games, brought them into existence, and also brought in this combination of, Boulder Dash and also sort of Metroidvania-ishness. It's Metroidvania, right? Yes, I'm not crazy. Sometimes I forget because all of the Steamworld games are very different from each other, except for Steamworld Dig 1 and 2 are the only ones that are similar, and all the other ones are different ducks entirely. And even Steamworld Dig 2 is a lot different from Steamworld Dig 1. There are a lot of things that you can do in this game that you can't do in the first one, and it's very, very well designed and very, very fun to play. It is an exceptional indie game and absolutely beloved, and if you want to know why, you just got to pick it up. It is 90% off at $1.99. And there's also Steamworld Heist, which this will show you exactly what I'm talking about with all the games being different. Because this one is, well, first of all, it's a heist game, and second of all, it is a turn-based precision-type shooter, where you take turns and you're trying to line up these crazy, like, if I bounce the bullet off of this and send it back off of that and run this around this way and do a 4-wall ricochet and then kill this guy with my magic bullet. Yeah, and so it's really, really interesting the way that this game plays. It is unlike anything else in the Steamworld universe, but it's very cool and very fun. 93% off at $1.04 for the Steamworld Heist. Stick Fight the Game. This is another one of my son's favorites. This one is a game to be played multiplayer, and everything and everyone is trying to kill you all the time, and you just try to stay alive. At the beginning of every level, the level will start, and then the level starts trying to kill you, and then everyone in the level starts trying to kill you, and they keep dropping crazy guns and power-ups and things. And yeah, you just try to be the last one standing, and sometimes that involves a lot of dumb luck, and sometimes that involves incredible skill. And so it's, yeah, a really, really interesting game, and it is 60% off at $1.99. Get a few of them, give them to friends, and play it with friends. Strikey Sisters. This game takes the very simple concept of block breaker game and adds kind of action RPG-ish elements to it, which is insane, but it's very well done. And it's very fun play. It's fairly difficult, but it's a really, really cool idea that is very well executed. And I really, really like this game. The story is kind of dumb, but the rest of it is super solid. 80% off at $1.99. Sundered Eldritch Edition. This is a Roguevania. It's roguelike and it's a Metroidvania. And so, yeah, that's a lot to be doing. And I feel like this one, like, who knows this game? From the creators of Jotun, another beautiful, fantastic game that does not get enough love. Jotun was a great indie game. As a matter of fact, because I own Jotun on GOG, and so I'm never featuring it in Steam sales. But yeah, this excellent Roguevania, and hold up, real quick. Yeah, 85% off, $2.99. Cool concept, cool game. And is Jotun? Yeah, Jotun, $2.24. Yeah, it's Jotun is a super cool game. And it is steeped in Norse mythology. I almost said North mythology. Anyway, yeah, you try to get to Valhalla, like we all are. And it's just a gorgeous looking game. It's 85% off, $2.24. Yeah, I don't know why these games don't get more love, because they are exceptionally well made. Now, this one looks like it's not exceptionally well made, because it looks like an Atari 2600 game. And you can see the Oregon Trail influence, only this game is Oregon Trail if it was all violence all the time. And it's kind of stupid that way, is very silly. It's definitely a send-up of Oregon Trail, but also it's just stupid fun the entire time. And so, yeah, if you've never mowed down buffalo from a covered wagon with a machine gun, well, now's your chance. It is 66% off at $1.01. Barely making it into this, under $3. It's almost under $1. Super Blood Hockey. Yeah, I loves me some hockey. And this game, like, I didn't like a lot of things about it at first until I started playing the franchise mode. The franchise mode is what makes it super duper fun. I strongly encourage you to play this one in franchise mode, because you buy up all the players and you build them up. You tell them how to practice, and you tell them which illicit substances to take to boost their performance. Yeah, that's a part of the game. It's just really, really well done and very fun and funny. It's 85% off at $2.24. I likes me the Super Blood Hockey. Supreme Commander. Here you go, RTS fans. It's one of the best RTSs ever made. Total Annihilation is the original Mac Daddy of RTSs for RTS fans, and this is the sequel that said, oh, you like what we did with Total Annihilation? Well, just wait. And yeah, my brother-in-law is a huge RTS fan. He's poured hours and hours into this game, and it is one of his absolute favorites. 80% off at $2.59. There's also the Forged Alliance, which you can also get, which is $3.99 apparently. So Supreme Commander, get your RTS on. Ultra Space Battle Brawl. This one, kind of dumb, but also super fun. It's a pretty short game, but what it is it's Pong. It's just Pong, only supercharged and crazy and fun, with lots of crazy characters and tons of insane power-ups and different things. And yeah, it's got a story, but that's wild to begin with. Anyway, it's Pong, but it is the ultimate Pong version that you will ever play, pretty much. Very fun, very cool, and it's 85% off at $1.49. Ooh, almost there. Undertale. Undertale is mandatory playing at this point. Everybody needs to play Undertale, because this is an experience as much as it is a game. And if you want to talk about beloved indie titles, my children have spent so much time not just on this game, but on the lore of this game, on the music of this game, on the memes associated and the fandom of this game. Like, this game can become your life. Like, this can be your life now. So if you haven't played it yet, it's time to find out why everyone's so crazy about it. 75% off at $2.49. Get it with the soundtrack so you can bump Megalovania. I always confuse things in my brain. Anyway, or If you've heard that song too many times, play any of the other fantastic Toby Fox creations. Last but not least, Valfaris, which is a hard rockin' heavy metal type of game. It is insanely hard. Crazy platform shooter that is, I guess, Souls-like, if that's what we're calling things that are insanely difficult. But more than anything, it's like a heavy metal album cover come to life, and you just go full nuts with all kinds of crazy guns against all kinds of crazy bosses with a rockin' soundtrack. So if that sounds like fun to you, well, it sounds like fun to me too. I think I just sold it to myself, but I already own it. 90% off at $249. Anyway, people, we made it. We made it. This was the long one. I knew it was going to be. There were just a ton of games to talk about, but hopefully you found something that you're going to play and you're going to enjoy. That's the entire point of these videos. If you made it all the way to the end, congratulate yourself. Because it's a slog. It's a slog for me to make it. I can only imagine watching it. Gee whiz. Anyway, people, that's going to do it for this one. I will see you in the next one, which will be the under $1 games. Okay, bye.